It's lovely to have you here celebrating Mother's Day with us. And we've got as a special guest, Nat. I can't think of anyone else at our church who is both, has a mother and a daughter at church. Can you?
No, I can't
No,
actually.
well, there you go. You're very special.
No.
So Mother's Day, what does it usually look like for you guys and your family?
So usually on Mother's Day, because I'm an early riser, I will get up before everyone else. So I'll have some time to myself. Mm-hmm. And then I might pop over and go and wake Mum up because Mum lives with us.
Lives with you, yeah.
But has an independent section. And so I'll go and wake Mum up and wish her happy Mother's Day. And then depending on whether Mum wants to come over immediately or a bit later, just depends on her mood too. So then I'll go home and then Pete and Sam will wake up and then order me back to bed so I could have a cup of tea in bed.
Right, okay.
And then we'll get up and we'll have breakfast. And usually Sam and Pete, mostly Sam nowadays, will cook breakfast. Okay. So it could be anything from bacon and eggs to a slice of toast, just depends on what I want. Mum will then come around and we'll all have some more coffee or tea and then we'll open some gifts.
Okay.
Then we'll all get ready for church, come to church, and then obviously stay for the service and then leave to go to lunch.
Okay, go out for lunch somewhere.
Somewhere, yeah. So that we kind of spoiled for that day.
So it's a bit different this year. Clearly you're not going out to church, not going out for lunch.
No.
Tell me, how's life at home with COVID with you guys?
So I'm lucky. So as you know, Tom, I work in healthcare. I'm not at the bedside, so I've been fortunate not to be too exposed to the stresses and anxiety that COVID sort of, invoked in people. However, things have changed at home. So I've been fortunate enough to be able to choose between working at home or going into work. So I've balanced the two for me. Not so much for Sam, who is at uni. So everything's been converted to online. So she's finding that very stressful. And being a worrywart and a perfectionist just has increased her stress level somewhat. But she's settling down. With Pete, because he and Mum usually go out with the carer numerous times per week, that's sort of stifled at the moment. So they've been a little frustrated because they can't get out, and it's that interaction with others outside. Also the activity in terms of walking that maintains your well-being. So hopefully things will start settling down soon. And
so people have got cabin fever at home, have they?
A little bit. I have been sending him out to the shops because I'm a shopaholic when it comes to food, and so he's curtailed some of my spending somewhat.
Oh,
so
good.
that's good.
That's a good result.
Absolutely.
Now tell me about work. You're in the hospital system. As you say, you're not at the bedside, but what are your observations as you work in the hospital system of life in the hospital system during this COVID season?
So there's been an increased vigilance around hand hygiene, which is something which should be in play anyway. But what we have noticed is that there are many people who have higher levels of anxiety than normal. Okay. We've been fortunate that they've been very proactive, particularly at the organisation I work in terms of allowing you to work at home. Okay. So because they've introduced activity-based working environment, means that you technically, it's not called hot desking, but you share desks. Yeah. So they've made sure that you clean, once you use a desk area, you clean it down with disinfectant and so forth. But they've also encouraged a lot of people to work from home so that the social distancing spacing can occur at work as well. So we've been very fortunate there. Staff have been extremely anxious. Lots of things have happened that have increased the levels of anxiety. But needless to say, I think we've been very fortunate at work in terms of that they've been very proactive in trying to safeguard and protect staff. So it's good. But there are a lot of levels of anxiety that are usually higher than normal. And you can see that in staff interaction. Yeah.
So as a Christian at work, how's it been making Christ known in your workplace at this time?
So talking about Christ and Christianity and faith is usually difficult at the best of times because we are surrounded by so many non-believers. However, I'm fortunate that my immediate group of friends are Christians, so it makes for me personally, makes it much easier to talk about Christianity and faith and coming to church and what we do. Not so for everyone, particularly people who are non-believers. So something I like to sort of talk about was the fact that just before Easter, I was talking about Easter and what we were going to do and so forth. And somebody turned around and said, oh, well, you know, I don't believe in fairy tales. And I just very politely turned around and said, well, I do. And I walked off. So, you know, you've got to balance it. It is difficult to talk about faith at work. And you know that there are so many people who are non-believers, and you can see it in the way they react, in the way they speak. So you have to just choose your moments when you introduce something, or, you know, about Christianity or faith. It's difficult at the best of times.
Sure. And what do you think are your reflections on this period of time? Are there things that you've discovered or rediscovered as you worked from home, or is there anything that you're learning at this time?
I've learned that we can do away with a lot of things.
Yes.
And that...
Like food.
Like food. Lots of food. You know, my cupboards are unfortunately always bulging, and it's not because I'm a hoarder, it's just the way I am.
Yeah.
Blame my mother for that. In South Africa, you eat a lot.
Yes.
Okay, it's very much part of the culture. But what I've learned is that we don't have to rush around to the shops and spend so much time at the shops. It's a time for reflection in terms of being able to sit back, take a breath, reevaluate what the priorities should be, and what is important and what isn't important. And, you know, at home, I think we talk more, although you can't get a word in with Sam, but you tend to talk more as a family unit.
Yes.
You know, and even the animals have settled down because everyone's home.
Everyone's home.
This is what it should be. So, and I think Mum's a lot happier too.
So there are some things that you've learned at this time that you want to carry back into a post-COVID world?
Absolutely, absolutely. And we were only just talking about this the other day, about how things are different. And it sort of takes you back to when I was growing up. And in South Africa, things were a lot slower. And I'm sure they were here in Australia as well. I can only talk about my experience in South Africa. But it was slower. It was quieter. You didn't have to rush to the shops. You could stay at home, you can bake more, do those things that you haven't been able to do because you're always rushing around. So it's been great, and that's what's going to happen post-COVID, is to make sure we maintain those and get our priorities right as opposed to not.
Well, thank you for joining us. Happy Mother's Day.
Thank you.
And we look forward to hearing you read the Bible today.
Thank you, Tom.
Thank you.